Through the cosmos, where we help you understand not only what we know, but how we know what we know. I'm Frasier Cain, publisher of Universe Today. With me, as always, is Dr. Pamela Gay, a senior scientist for the Planetary Science Institute and the director of CosmoQuest. Hey, Pamela, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Fraser?
Good. So this is the final episode of Astronomy Cast.
Although I'm
Until our,
hoping.
until our, wait, I gotta finish what I was gonna say. Otherwise, people
Okay.
will panic.
Okay.
Our final episode of Astronomy Cast for our summer hiatus until we're back on in September. So
Yes.
this is the summer break that we take every summer for 2 months. Okay, what were you gonna say?
I'm hoping that I will be able to get us together during the Cosmo Quest
Mm,
A-Con in July. And folks, if you're trying to figure out what to do this summer to get your astronomy fix, we are over at CosmoQuest hosting 2.5 days of panels, performances, and science and creative awesome. So go check it out. It's linked to on cosmoquest.org. This is our CosmoQuest-a-con. We have Dennis Taylor, the author of the Bobiverse books.
that's awesome.
We have so many cool people. Our guests of honor, we have Amy Davis Roth is the artist guest of honor. She's going to be painting a telescope that will be up for auction. We have Dr. Erin McDonald, who is the science advisor for Star Trek Discovery. She is going to be our SciComm guest of honor, and Scott Manley is our gamer guest of honor.
Right on. Oh man, Scott is a one-man party. You just point the camera at Scott Manley, and then you guys can all just take a break for an hour, and then come back, and your audience will be entertained. Yeah, he's he's so great to have as a guest. I've done a couple of live streams with him, and he's so much fun. And then Dennis Taylor, of course, from the Bobiverse, which is great because you were the one that told me about the Bobiverse books. I read them, loved them, tracked down the author, did an interview, and then you guys were able to get him as a guest on the show, which is so terrific. And
It all feeds in.
he's local too. He lives in my neighborhood. He's
That's
just
awesome.
yeah, just lives in Vancouver. So just to clarify exactly what's going to happen, of course, this is the last, like I said, the last episode of Astronomy Cast before the summer hiatus. We've got the last episode of the virtual star party coming up on Sunday. Of course, if you're listening to this via podcast methods, it will have already happened, but you can watch it afterwards. One last episode of My Open Space, which is going to be on Monday. One last episode of the Weekly Space Hangout, which is going to be on Wednesday. I'm not sure which of your things go on hiatus and which things remain.
We're going to be taking the week after 4th of July off for daily space,
Yep.
but we'll otherwise be continuing perhaps on a shortened schedule for the rest of the summer.
Yep.
But your guide to space will keep coming as well.
Yeah, of course. So I'm still going to be doing the Guide to Space on YouTube. I'm still going to be doing my question shows. I will probably be doing random telescope streams on either Twitch or YouTube, either for interesting events that happen or for technology or methodologies that we're trying to test out. So again, we will not be gone. We will just be not live streaming with the same level of regularity, and hopefully taking a little bit of a break as well. It's important. We should all do this. You go work so hard all the time, and you forget that you do need that downtime as well to replenish your energy and to make you excited about the projects that you're working on. And it's vital. So consider taking a hiatus as well. Anyway, let's get into the show. It's time once again for Astronomy Cast to go on hiatus. You've got a couple of months on your own to explore the night sky. But before we say goodbye, we'd like to make a few suggestions. And I think it's important that we are going to have a totally Northern Hemisphere perspective here.
We're sorry.
We're sorry, but we just live in the northern. Summer is the warm time in our minds. July, August, that's when the heat arrives for the folks in Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, South America. We understand that these recommendations will not be quite as relevant, but we'll try to make the distinction about what things you can enjoy as well. But
with your longer nights.
With your longer nights, yeah. Many of the objects you see the same things, but it's colder. It's not as much fun to go outside and hang out. What can people see this summer?
Well, I think the most important thing to go out and try and do is just observe our Milky Way. Find yourself a hammock, a lawn chair, some way to just lie back and relax. Use your binoculars, borrow someone else's binoculars if you don't have any, and just explore that band of light that goes through dark skies. The summer triangle, which is Altair, Vega, and Deneb, really will help you find, well, one of the cooler regions. That summer triangle, well, we have the Ring Nebula not too far away from Vega. Cygnus is home of Alberio, which is one of the coolest double stars in the sky, with one extremely red star and one extremely blue star that become visible with magnification.
Amazing.
Just explore as a starting point. Make no plans except to figure out where the Milky Way is, and just scan along it looking for faint fuzzies.
And this is, I mean, for you, I'm not sure how good of a Milky Way view you have there. I have a very good view to the sky, but it's worth heading out of town to get away from the light pollution, to get to those truly dark skies. And I know for a lot of people, you look at the dark sky maps for the folks on the East Coast, and it's a nightmare. You will have to go, but this is the kind of event that if you have not experienced the Milky Way with your own eyes, or if you have not, and you're looking for something to do this summer, it's a perfect, like, socially distanced activity, because you can take your family, hop in the car, plan an evening where you drive out. Maybe you're going to take a couple of hours, but anywhere on the on the East Coast, you can get to dark skies within a couple of hours. Even from the core of New York City, if you're able to drive, there's some forests that are a couple of hours away where you can see the Milky Way, no problem. And just go, plan a night of it. Leave a little late, let people sleep in the car while you drive out there, and so you can arrive at, like, in the evening, and get a beautiful view of the night sky. Or set up early and then let everyone pass out, and then have an alarm clock go off at like 1 a.m. and get everybody up to be able to see it. But you should do this, and there's no reason not to.
Camping is somewhat safe.
Yeah, outside,
Restrooms
away from
you
other
have
people.
To worry about.
Yeah,
but campgrounds are open, and some of the primitive campgrounds are about as safe as you can get, because you're away from everything except for the raccoons. Always hang your garbage up.
Right. Yeah. Or leave it in the car. But yeah, I think that is great. And so what are the ways that people can get the most out of the Milky Way?
Honestly, the best thing that you can do is start out where you know where you are on the sky. This is where using the summer triangle and the extremely bright star Vega as a starting point can be a great way to get yourself oriented. Find that bright Vega, use it to figure out where Deneb is for Cygnus the Swan, use it to find Altair for Aquila. Once you're oriented, stick your binoculars in the middle and scan, and every time you find something faint and fuzzy, pause and then either use your phone or a finding chart to figure out what amazing nebula it is you found this time. This is the cool thing about just streaming through with your binoculars, is you're just going to keep finding nebula, star cluster, one after another.
Yeah. It is globular star cluster season, so you can see in Hercules, there's a bunch all scattered around it, because we're seeing them above and below the disk of the Milky Way. And so when we're able to start seeing the core of the Milky Way, these are all starting to rise up in the sky as well. So Milky Way, and again, if you have not seen that, knock that off your list. This is your chance this summer, best time.
And Sagittarius and the heart of our galaxy is up in the evening for part of the summer, so it's perfectly timed for the family. And this gives you a chance to say, I am looking at a supermassive black hole right now. You can't see
You can't
it,
see it. It's a black hole.
but you're looking in the correct direction. And so that's just one of those moments of finding your place in the universe, of I am standing here on this planet looking at the heart of my galaxy, and in that direction there's a supermassive black hole.
When I was in Australia in July, so I guess it was around that time, and it was their winter, but it was still very warm because I was fairly far north. You could see the core of the Milky Way just passing directly overhead. Absolutely stunning. And then because where I was, the skies were so dark, you could see those nebulae as these little faint reddish patches in the sky when you looked with binoculars, or when you took a picture with your camera. You got to see what we always see is these gigantic nebulae that's been taken through a telescope, but it's amazing to put those into perspective. When you take just a whole picture of the sky, you can see where all these little objects are, and they're all in that core of the Milky Way. And the classic constellation is Sagittarius. And once you learn to find Sagittarius, once you learn that teapot, you'll always be able to find it. In fact, you'll see it in photographs. Every time I see a photograph of the Milky Way, I can see the teapot. I know where they pointed it.
And if you want to get started right now, while Sagittarius will be up in the evening at the end of summer. Right now, you have to get up early in the morning, but it's worth it, because Jupiter and Saturn and Sagittarius are all up in the south right now in the pre-dawn hours.
So let's talk about the planets then.
So we have Jupiter is coming into opposition, which means it's going to be opposite from the sun relative to the Earth in the sky in July, meaning it's going to be up pretty much the entire night. Saturn is nearby, trailing it slightly to the west.
Mars.
And this is just a great chance to get out. And Mars is a few fields away. They aren't all lined up together. But Mars is going to be the brightest of the three. Sorry, it's going to be the third of the brightest planets in the morning sky this month. And so get up early in the morning, and you've got a trio of the cool three: Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. And you can actually make out features on all of these if you have a small telescope.
Already, yeah. I mean, obviously, we always recommend that you can see Jupiter in a small telescope. You can see the moons, you can see the bands across the planet, you can see the great red spot. With Saturn, obviously, you can see the rings, no problem. With Mars, you can see the polar ice caps. And if you've got a better telescope, you can start to see some of the darker features on the surface of Mars itself. And we're nearing that window when spacecraft are sent to Mars. That's I think the Perseverance rover is going to be going to Mars in July.
July 22nd is its current planned launch date. So this is another thing that doesn't quite fall under stargazing, but is a summer space event to look forward to. This is the one big science launch we're going to get this summer. And the window is long if it gets delayed a little bit, because it is hurricane season after all. We're fine. It's got time. And so as long as it gets up before the end of August, we're good.
That's amazing. Yeah. So you've got the planets and some of the less visible planets. I learned this on the weekly space hangout this week from Pam Hoffman. There's going to be a Jupiter-Pluto conjunction coming up in a couple of weeks.
That's wild.
And so a conjunction is when two planets are close together in the sky. And generally, Pluto is a really tough planet to be able to see because you don't know where it is. It's just a dot. I called it a planet. Oh, poor Pluto. But in this case, if you have Jupiter nearby as a reference point, then you can compare and figure out where the two are, and they'll be relatively close together. So if you want to take a really extreme planet hunting challenge, you can find Pluto.
And Neptune's out there, and
Mhm.
Neptune is completely visible, and it's not too far in the sky, I believe away from Mars. Let me double check that while we chat.
And then Venus is coming up as an object in the morning sky, and even Mercury is up. So this is going to be a great summer for being able to see all of the planets, pretty much, and Pluto. I'm not sure where Uranus is, but
And Neptune is currently a morning object near Mars.
yeah. So there you go.
So and you can see Neptune. It's right within the field of view of binoculars as this pale blue dot. And to imagine that it took so long to find it and now it's something that we can casually look at in our backyard is pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's set yourself the challenge this summer. Visually spot Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, Saturn, Mars. Binocularly go after Neptune. Again, I'm not sure where Uranus is. I should check my stellarium. And then telescopically see if you can go after Pluto.
And don't forget, as we said, explore Sagittarius, explore the Milky Way. And if you're trying to do the, okay, so when do I want to go do this? Well, August is your answer. Do you know why?
Perseids.
Fraser? Perseids. And the Perseids this year are going to be cursed with a third quarter moon, unfortunately. So it's not as ideal as it could be without that moon in the early morning hours. Around August 12th, you'd be seeing meteor after meteor with roughly one per minute. It's unclear exactly how many will be seen because of that moon. But just go out early when the moon is still low in the horizon, or even before it's even come up, and take a look. The Perseids are called that because the meteors will appear to radiate away from the constellation Perseus. But, there's actually meteors any night you go out. So really, just go out, look up, you'll see meteors. It's cool.
Yeah, the Perseids are a pretty good meteor shower. They're not the best meteor shower, but they are the most civilized. For the northern hemisphere, they are the one that you can enjoy in the warmth of the summer. And so you can go out in your shorts and t-shirt, lie back, watch the sky, and catch meteors. But as you said, you can see meteors any night, but you see more during these meteor showers. And it's just like another thing to be able to see, which is great.
And normally we would tell you to go out and find an astronomy club and check out a whole bunch of telescopes because you don't need your own.
Yeah.
But maybe
summer.
not this year.
Yeah. Maybe next year.
But there's a bunch of telescopes online.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're someone that doesn't want to risk leaving your house, doesn't want to risk traveling anywhere to get dark skies, look at, well, Frasier has the virtual star party that he does. There's the good folks at SLU. Oceanside Photo and Telescope has been streaming.
Like crazy, yep.
Yeah, so there's all of these opportunities you have to get to know the summer sky.
Twitch actually has a lot of people doing some live streams. I think I know of like probably 4 or 5 people that do regular live streams with their telescope to be able to show you the night sky.
And there's a Discord that we'll link to in our show notes where a lot of these folks are starting to get together. This is being organized in part by Bill Nash and Dustin Gibson. And so instead of going out and looking through eyepieces the way we'd normally recommend, go out and look through webcams.
Right.
It's a way of hanging out and enjoying the sky together.
And so for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere seeing satellites, it's a great time to be able to see satellites because they are well positioned, illuminated for a large part of their path across the sky. Especially for here in Canada, we can often see 2 passes of the International Space Station 90 minutes apart, visible for the entire pass. So we'll watch the International Space Station go overhead, come back out 90 minutes later and watch it do the whole thing again. And also, like I think today when we're filming this, there's going to be another Starlink launch, and of course
It's delayed.
Oh, has it been delayed? Okay, but in general, after the Starlink launches, and they're going to be going up every couple of weeks, so you'll have lots of opportunities over the summer. You can find out from places like Heavens Above when there's going to be a Starlink pass, and it's pretty great to see this train of 60 satellites that are either visible or binocular visible just pass across in one big line. It's very surreal. It feels like you're looking at UFOs or something. And then over time, they drift farther and farther apart, and they move up to their final altitudes. But right after that launch, try to time going outside with being able to watch a Starlink trail pass over where you are.
It's really surreal.
Yeah, really surreal.
It's this perfectly straight line of moving dots in formation going across the sky. I've never imagined something that would look quite like this. And while it's cool to see one, we're hoping that we never get more than one train at a time up there.
Yeah.
But while we have this, go check it out. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yep. What else can people see this summer?
Those are really the big things that you don't need a telescope for. Now, if you're willing to get that telescope, get that particularly amazing pair of binoculars, this is where you should start trying to dig into the Messier catalog. Highlights of the summer: Hercules cluster, M13, which you mentioned earlier. Some people call it the chrysanthemum cluster. There's that ring nebula, just 2 binocular fields away from Lyra. If you have really good binoculars, not from Lyra, from Vega rather. There's also, again, Summer Triangle. It's rich hunting people.
Yeah.
There's the Dumbbell Nebula. And this really is the time to get to know so many objects. My favorites that start coming up early in the morning, we get Andromeda.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's kind of like low-picking fruit. Everyone loves Andromeda, but now you know it's early in the morning. Apparently, everything cool is early in the morning right now.
Well, but that's always the experience that you have, because it's been a year since you've seen these things, and so you're desperate to be able to see the Orion Nebula again, and then it starts to show up in the morning, and you get up so that you can actually see it, and then it moves every night. It comes a little early until it's just there's Orion in the evening sky in December.
And one of my favorite random astronomy factoids is those dog days of summer that I remember hearing about on lemonade commercials as a little kid. That dog days of summer is referring to the star Sirius. And the 2 dog constellations, Canis Major and Canis Minor, that accompany Orion. In August, Sirius rises right before the sun. And it was thought that the extra light from Sirius was what contributed to August being such a northern hemisphere miserable month.
Right.
And so it's the dog days of summer because of Canis Major and Canis Minor.
Yeah. So you're talking about getting binoculars. There are a bunch of comets that you can see in the sky this summer. We've got a couple of articles. Dave Dickinson has been writing a bunch of stuff on Universe Today. The one, there's a new one, E6 Lemon, I think. But we're going to have a whole bunch of opportunities to see various comets coming and going over the summer. But through July, this one specific comet should get bright enough that you can actually see it with the unaided eye, and definitely in a pair of binoculars. So we've got T2 Pan-STARRS, C19Y1, C19Y4 Atlas, 2020 F8 Swan, and U6 Lemon, and probably more will show up over the course of the summer. Of course, we'll keep you posted from Universe Today.
And I, for one, have to admit, I've gotten somewhat jaded about comets this year, so that I didn't even look up what comets were going to be up this summer. But this is why we need Universe Today to keep us up to date on what's hopefully going to actually make it here. But this is my fancy way of saying never count a comet until it's in your eyepiece.
That's right. We just had an annular eclipse, and in just about a week and a half, there's going to be a penumbral lunar eclipse. So
which means it's going to be really hard to tell there's
Yeah.
anything special going
Yeah.
on. It's like someone just adjusted the contrast on the moon.
they are almost worthless. I won't even try to see it. But it's
True
happening.
story.
So it's been a long time since you've seen a lunar eclipse, and you want to have that lunar eclipse. If you want to test your ability, your eyesight, see if you can see the moon get any darker at all.
Well, the moon is slightly easier to photograph because it's less contrast against the night sky. The moon is super hard to photograph. Just repeat advice from last week. If you want to learn how to photograph,
Uh-oh. I think we lost her. Sorry, Richard. I'll wait till she returns. So we're at the Richard. You may want to write this down if you're watching. We're at like the 26-minute mark, and Pamela just went totally offline. Just staring at me with this frozen expression. Yeah, here, great freeze. Oh, we lost it. Oh, too bad. Okay, I was gonna show you the freeze frame. All right. I'm going to keep recording. So, but if anybody has any questions, let me see what's happening in the chat. And if anyone has any recommendations. James Dugan is saying that we get that down in the southern hemisphere as well. Some nights 2 past of the International Space Station. Yeah, you want to be closer to the poles of the planet, and that's when you get these fully illuminated. And this is the problem with Starlink, is that the Chilean telescopes are close enough to far enough south in the southern hemisphere that during the southern hemisphere summertime, these Starlinks will be fully illuminated for the entire passes. Esther Gagne, have UFO sightings increased since the Starlink launches? Yeah, they have. I have seen a bunch of people posting on Twitter and places like that they saw some UFO and it turned out to be a Starlink pass. Yeah, all the time. Sin OG, I finally catch you guys live. I love it. Astronomy Cast. Welcome. I'm glad you were able to make it too. Trey Harmon, did we talk about Comet Neowise and you missed it? I heard it's a North Hemisphere object, but don't know if we'll be able to see it. Yeah, I'm not sure where Neowise is going to be. I don't know if Dave covered that in his article. He talked about, let me see. No, I don't have anything on Neowise in that article. Ironheart is saying, check out the Sark, the world's first designated dark sky island. You can't go because of the virus, but once lifted, you should be able to check them out. That sounds awesome.
Okay, sorry about that.
No problem.
All right, I'm restarting my recording.
I'm still recording. Did your computer crash? What happened?
Zoom crashed.
Oh, okay.
It was just Zoom. Everything else was fine. All right. What did you hear before it crashed?
I don't remember.
Okay, I know we'd been talking about Andromeda.
Yeah. Does anyone remember what Pamela had said? Can you listen to your recording since you started a new recording?
I didn't start a new recording. I just paused and unpaused.
Okay. All right.
Um,
Well, let's get into Richard can edit because we're sort of reached the end of our time anyway. So I
yeah.
want to talk about the sun for a second,
Okay, go
and
for
then
it.
you will have recorded, like your audio will have recorded whatever it is you were talking about.
Yeah.
So, okay,
So just transition to the sun. Be
Yeah.
done with it.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about the sun. Normally, when it comes to the summer, it's actually also a great time to observe the sun. But the problem is the sun is at the lowest point of its 11-year cycle. And so there is nothing happening on the sun. There have been no sunspots. There have been very few coronal mass ejections, very few flares, very few activities that hit us here on Earth thanks to the sun. So there haven't been very many auroras. So normally what I recommend you do, and maybe if you're going to listen to this some other year, is sign up for some kind of aurora alert service and just Google search that, and you'll find a service that will tell you, that will send you an email when there's going to be visible auroras from your location. And my Aurora app has been silent for months. I think it's been like 5 months since I've even heard a peep out of my Aurora app. There's been nothing to see. And so don't get your hopes up that there's going to be anything to see this summer. It's going to be very
Most
quiet.
boring
Yeah.
sun ever.
Yeah.
So I guess if 2020 really didn't need to add any more excitement, we're
Yeah.
already covered. So it gave us a boring sun. I could have used boring somewhere else, but boring sun is what we got.
Well, I think we've given you a bunch of suggestions on things to do. I know every summer we beg you to make an event of it. Go out, take your friends, family, go somewhere dark, see the sky, especially if you live in a place that has a bad view to the night sky normally. Go and enjoy the heavens in the way they were meant to be seen without light pollution.
Camping is awesome. And hammock tents, people, hammock tents.
Yeah, sleeping on a hammock, seeing the sky, that's the best. All right, Pamela, do you have some names before we go?
I do. As always, we are here thanks to all the generous contributions we receive from people at patreon.com/cosmocore. Sorry, that was wrong. We are here thanks to the generous contributions we receive over on patreon.com/astronomycast. Thank you so much for everything you do that allows us to do everything that we do. I would like to thank William Andrews, Jeff Collins, Arctic Fox, Brian Peacocks, Merrick Viderny, Nate Detweiler, Matt Rutger, Ron Thorson, Philip Walker, Brian Gregory, Kevin Nitka, Elad Avron, Dave Lackey, Roland Warmerdam, Paul Disney, Cooper, Chris Scherhofer, GeForce 184, Karthik Ventkratcherman, I'm sorry, Scott Bieber, Sarah Turnball, Jillian Rhodes, Father Prax, Donald Mundus, Andrew Stevenson, Bart Flaherty, Antisaur, Jason Graham, Dana Norrie, Dean McDonnell, Martin Dawson, Kenneth Ryan, Russell Petto, Benjamin Davies, and Smansky. Thank you all so much for everything you do for us.
And thanks, Pamela. As always, it's been an honor to do this show with you. Had a great time. It was a great season. And I hope you have a wonderful summer. I'm sure we're going to be in touch regularly, especially with your various upcoming events. And we will see all of you in September.
Have a fabulous summer. Astronomy Cast is a teenager, people. We're a teenager.
There you go. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
And then they saved.
And then they saved. Man, I opened Slack to get the link for Zoom, and my Slack promptly proceeded to explode with all the Happy Weekly Space Hangout and other correspondences going on.
I kind of almost crashed my... Okay, so what did I say it was? 76?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm systematically torturing everyone in our house while we record because I made them turn off the air conditioning.
Oh, it's monstrous.
It really is.
Well, so far, we have not needed an air conditioner at all in this house. It's finally getting some... Actually, it's going to rain again today. So summer has just not showed up.
Yeah, no, it's about 30 C out in the mid 80s.
Limp Rimble is asking, anyone know what mic Pamela is using?
I am using a Shure, I think it's 51.
That's a Shure 51? Cool. How do you like it?
Yes, I confirmed. It's a Shure 51. I adore it.
Yeah.
It what I particularly like is it has a really easy to use mute button on it.
On the mic as well.
Yeah. And I can use a monitor straight through it. So with my headset on this stand, I can just plug my headphones.
Yeah, I see your headphones
are
are plugged right into the microphone.
Yeah.
Is it
and
USB,
it's
or is it XLR?
No, it's USB.
It is USB. Okay.
Yeah, and it has really good audio quality. And it comes with cables that allow it to be plugged also into an iPhone.
Right.
So the fact that I can use a high quality mic on my iPhone is also super useful.
I use a Heil PR40. So.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure mine has another letter in there. I think it's an M71 or an M51. Yours is stout.
Yeah, it's a very nice microphone. Oh, but I mean, let's see if I can turn it. I dare not turn it. Can I do this? There we go. Okay, there you go. Heil PR40. It's good. I really like it. I've been searching for a good microphone for a long time, and finally got to a microphone setup that I'm kind of happy with. I use that, and then I use a Steinberg audio interface. So it's an XLR mic that goes into a USB interface that then goes into my computer, and I like it.
That's what I use upstairs.
Yeah, it's funny. I've gone through the USB microphone, like all the Blue Snowballs and the Yetis, and they're not great. Like, they're fine, but we've had so many audio challenges for so many years, and so now I'm not going to touch a thing. Now that I figured out this mono stereo setting, I'm not going to don't touch anything.
See, I got this one after getting detained in an airport in Amman, Jordan, because of my Zune audio recorder.
Like this?
My H4n. Yeah.
Really?
I got detained because my H4n, they didn't know what it was. And it was one of those, they took my passport away. There were 4 large men making sure I didn't leave the bench they made me sit on. Almost missed my flight. My stomach freaked out enough that I then puked from Amman to Chicago pretty much.
Wow. I've had grief because of my trying to carry my Blue Snowball through security, because it's like a little sphere of metal.
Yeah.
Looks like a bomb.
So and the Zoom, I'd had problems with it like in London and stuff where I'd almost missed flights, but I wasn't scared in any of those circumstances.
Yeah. It's funny now. I think security is so comfortable with things like this. Like they don't even want to look at it anymore. They see it in the X-ray, and they're like, oh, that's one of those personal recorders. Like, there's enough YouTubers flying around. Yeah. Maybe it's a Canadian thing.
Unless it's me.
It's
so
you.
I got
you
this
specifically seem untrustworthy.
It's true. It's true. I mean, to be honest, I have visas to a lot of sketchy countries in my passport, and they profile. So But this looks like a mic. It is, I could kill someone with it if I wanted to. Again, that untrustworthy thing.
What, it's
Um,
heavy?
it's heavy. There's you can do serious damage with this mic. So I'm not worried about breaking it when I travel. Upstairs, if I'm doing anything that I need more bits than go into this podcast, I have my good Bluebird by Blue Audio XLR mic
Right.
with my Scarlett preamp.
Yeah.
But down here in the video studio, I just use this.
Yeah. Nibbler asks, any tips on learning how to find your way across the sky without maps or apps? Many constellations are barely recognizable when you can't see the dimmer stars. There's no
Practice.
Yeah, there's no easy way to do this. You practice. You start with something that you can find dependably. And so in the summertime, start from the summer triangle. In the wintertime, start with Orion, and then just extend from there. And there's no fast way to do this. You just have to have a sky chart, a paper sky chart. I use we've got our new book coming out in July, our second book, but for now I use Night Watch.
And you have one of the, I forget who does them, those blue star wheels.
Yeah. Star wheel is great. And you're just gonna have to go like, is this it? And then you're gonna look at it on in front of you, and then you're gonna look up at the sky, and you're gonna. But I promise you, once you have found them, once you have been able to star hop your way, they go into your mind like letters of the alphabet that you will never forget. And so whenever I'm outside, I just look up and I recognize the night sky. I can read the night sky like a book because it's all familiar to me.
The first time I found M13 Hercules, I was in Austin, Texas, which has a fair amount of light pollution, so it wasn't easy. It was a whole lot of star hop with gaps. And then once I found it, it was just like, oh, okay, so now I'm going to try and star hop to it in a telescope, having star hop to it with binoculars. And it became sport finding M13. And now I can just do it.
Yeah.
It's kind of awesome.
It's great because Carla and I were out sky watching one night, and I was like, oh, cool, M13 is up. And then I took the binoculars and looked up at it, and I'm like, oh, it looks so great in the binoculars. And she's like, I want to see. I'm like, okay. So you see those 4 stars there. That's the chest of Hercules. Look in between those 2 stars. And she's like, oh, yeah. Okay, got it. Yeah. And then she sees it. And now she can do it too. She just goes out, we're laying outside, and then she takes the binoculars and goes, oh, I see her. I see M13. And so, Nibbler is saying, yeah, I know the letters of Cassiopeia. Yeah. So under as Cassiopeia rises, you can see Perseus is like this upside down V rising underneath it later on in the evening. And then Perseus moves into Andromeda. And so there's all these, and so over the course of the year, each constellation feeds into the next constellation. And so as long as you go and spend enough time out at night, week after week after week, you're filling in the pieces through reference. And then you can find. So you just got to start. If it's in the springtime, start with Leo, because it looks like this. It looks like the lion. If you're in the fall, look for something like, say, Pleiades or Taurus. In the wintertime, start with Orion, and in the summertime, start with the summer triangle, and then you just grow from there, learning your sky.
And with binoculars, what's kind of amazing is you end up learning, well, this is 2 fields away from that thing I can see with my eyeballs. And so your eyeballs are essentially your finding scope for binoculars. And it's just this cool interplay of, okay, I know where the double cluster is. So find Cassiopeia, find the leg that's tilted off wonky. Go 2 fields down from the wonky leg.
Yeah. Andromeda, you go down, there's the 3 bright stars, and then the one in the middle, you go up to the next star, and then there's you go a little to the right, and there's an even dimmer star, and then Andromeda is just off that dimmer star that's a little wonky from the other 2. Each one of these objects, you will have a method that you use to find them. But
Yeah.
find them once, find them a couple of times, go out with your telescope or binoculars, and then they are your friends that you can see in the night sky every time, and you will always be able to find them.
If you live someplace really dark, the easiest faint fuzzy in the summer to find is the planetary nebula in Lyra. That's
Like
not
the
dumbbell,
ring
Ring
nebula. Yeah, that's an
Yeah,
easy one to
finding
find. Yeah.
Yeah. So start with the Ring
Yeah,
Nebula.
because it's in between. Like the Lyra looks like this little kite that's hanging off of Vega. It's only got like 5 stars in it, but the end 2 stars in it, you look right in between them, and there it is, just smack dead. And so if you can find those two, so you can find Vega, it's super easy to find. Then you can find the rest of Lyra, that's really easy to find. And then you can find those 2 end stars, they're easy to find. And then right in between them, there's the Ring Nebula, easy to find. So start with those kinds of objects. The tougher ones are the ones that don't have a nearby reference, that you have to, you do this technique where you just take the telescope and you kind of move, and then you move down a little bit, and then you move back, and then you move down a little bit, and there it is. Yeah. But it is like any hobby. You get out of it what you put into it, and there's no fast way to do this. But it's what could be better than laying out under the night sky with a pair of binoculars and a sky chart and starting to learn your constellations and learning the names of the stars and learning the locations of the Messier objects and the other things. I believe that's what you were talking about when you got cut off, was talking about the Messier objects. Maybe not.
That's true.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Richard, I'm sure, will do a primo editing job.
Yeah, he will.
Esther Gagne saying, I wish I could see Alpha Centauri with my own eyes one day. Yeah, I saw that for the first time from the southern hemisphere. It's amazing to know that you're looking at the closest stars to the sun.
The Tarantula Nebula from the southern hemisphere through a mid-sized telescope, like a 12-incher or an 8-incher.
Yeah.
Looks like a spider face, people. It looks like a spider face.
That's amazing. The large and small Magellanic Clouds.
Those are cool.
Yeah, the Omega Centauri cluster is just so much bigger than M13.
Yeah.
Let's see. Any other? Crazy Gurus is asking, what do you all think of the Starwalk 2 app? I don't use Starwalk. Do you use Starwalk?
I've used it a few times, and it's completely reasonable. It has good GPS and accelerometer integration, so that you can do the whole where is it in the sky.
Yeah. I mean, they're fine. I mean, for us, we know the sky, so we don't need a thing. We can, but it is helpful when you want to do something like, where's Mars or where's Uranus right now? And you don't know.
Or if you're in a super forested area and you're like, I see 7 stars. So
what are those 7 stars?
Right.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm a lot of questions today. All right. Well, then I think we will start to wrap things up. So just another reminder, when is the summer event that you guys are doing?
It's going to be July 17, 18, 19.
Okay. So we're about 3 weeks away.
Yeah. 22 days.
Okay, great. And if you haven't already, I'm just working on my next edition of my newsletter. Should be going out in about an hour. So if you want to see my newsletter, go to universetoday.com/newsletter and you'll get today's edition. Again, has about 20 stories, pictures, text, links to dozens more stuff, cool astronomy photos, links to videos, all kinds of good stuff. So you and 40,000 other people can get it. All right. Well, I think it's time to reach the end of our show. But Pamela, I think we probably won't be hanging out in person again or video again until I'm sure I'll be making an appearance in the event in mid-July. So as always, total honor. Wonderful to do this show with you, and I look forward to our September return.
And have a fabulous summer. And I'm going to be one of those 40,000 people watching for your newsletter and periodically pinging you over on Slack.
That sounds great. Okay, thanks everybody. Thank you for watching us. Thanks to all the moderators. Thanks to everyone both on Twitch and on YouTube. It's been a party, and we will see all of you in 2 months. See you later.